Yo, what's good, everyone? Welcome back to another off-season Jets episode of the Knicks, Jets, etc. podcast. And with me, as always, my buddy, my co-host, my pal, Winning P Weekly on Twitter, the man who has been glued to his app, his computer, his TV for the Masters. He's sitting. What hole are you at right now? 15.
Yeah, Amen's corner, baby.
He's
Holding it
sitting
down.
sitting at hole 15. What's up, Greg? How you doing, man?
What's going on, man? Yeah, Masters started off today. It was lovely. It's great to watch. Got some bets in. Got some futures still alive, which is all you can hope for after the first day. And yeah, everything's been good. A little bit of Jets news, so I'm happy we're here just to kind of catch everyone up and talk about what we think about what's going on with the Jets. And other than that, man, baseball is rocking and rolling. The Masters is going strong. March Madness just wrapped up, so it's coming. Summertime's here, baby. I'm feeling it. I could feel it. It was 80 something degrees today. It was nice.
Are
What's
you
going on with you,
burying the
though?
lead right now? Are you burying the lead? The
Of
New York
course,
Knicks are the fifth
of
seed
course.
in
45
the
wins.
playoffs. 45 wins. Your Winning P Weekly bet hit. I am officially poor because my Knicks playoff deposits and my money is officially gone. So if they go to the finals, I'll be happy, but I'll also be poor. But catch me in the Garden for every single game there. If there's no conflict for the Knicks and the Jets, I will be at MetLife for the Jets draft party. So if you're there, hit me up. See who wants to go. Probably see our boy Richie there from New York Jets Media. And that's why we haven't been putting out many Knicks episodes. I'm definitely gonna record an episode after every single playoff game. So we'll get back on track there. But we are combining the Knicks with Richie at New York Knicks Media, and we're going to be changing the Jets. So that's all in the works here because it is the off season. And you know what, Greg? Usually we're sitting here, and this is our Super Bowl. It's the off
Yeah.
season, and we're thinking about the draft picks. We watch all the college games. Our boy Connor Rodgers, his big draft guide's coming out in like 2 weeks, so that's going to be exciting. All the mock drafts are heavy loaded. We're usually so worried about the quarterbacks. The Jets are picking 13th. It is April 6th as we're talking right now. I feel like we have just barely scratched the surface thinking about the 13th pick, which is so out of the ordinary. But before we get into the draft picks, before we get into all that stuff, the Jets made two very interesting signings in their own respect. We got Michael Widmer in the chat, Timmy Boyle Nation. So we'll start with that real
Hell
quick.
yeah.
So what up, Mike? Of course, it's Timmy Boyle Nation. The New York Jets are making more moves that correspond to Aaron Rodgers, but of course have absolutely nothing to do with Aaron Rodgers coming
Yep.
to the Jets. We're just randomly signing Alan Lazard and Timmy Boyle, the Green Bay backup, who was also with Nate Hackett. And Greg, that kind of answers your question. We were kind of going on a back and forth last week about how there's not really any more quarterbacks left in the free agency market. There's not really any quarterbacks that are going to be left in the third round or fourth round, right?
Yep.
Where the Jets are, likely might be in the running to take another quarterback. So you were kind of worried about that. You need a veteran presence. You scratched some names I was honestly really worried about. But as Michael Widmer said, it's Timmy Boyle Nation. What are your thoughts on that signing for the Jets?
Yeah, I mean, Timmy Boyle wasn't on my list for sure. Wasn't on my bingo card, so I'm happy about it though. It's a veteran guy. We needed a veteran guy. Um, I think that again, it's just all things moving in the right direction. Hopefully, for us to sign Aaron Rodgers, get this deal done, make this trade. Once that happens, we'll know what the compensation is going to be. I've seen a lot of moving pieces on what the compensation is going to be, which is going to affect our draft preview. So I think that's why we've been a little hesitant. I think it's why everyone's been a little hesitant. It's crazy for the first time in a long time that the offseason isn't dominated so much by the draft because we as Jets fans have bigger fish to fry. It's crazy, but it's true. Like we need to lock up a 4-time MVP here to get this season going in the direction we all hope it can go to. So, I'm happy about Timmy Boyle to answer your question. I think it moves us in the right direction. I don't think it like makes waves or does anything crazy. I don't know if you have any other thoughts about it. If you think it's an amazing signing, an okay signing, a bad signing, like what do you think about Timmy Boyle here?
Well, I mean, it just reiterates the Aaron Rodgers stuff because whether we like it or not, man, there is anxiety around Jets Nation when it comes to Aaron Rodgers. Like the other day, we have Craig Carton. Well, I have nothing against Craig Carton. It's obvious he's just saying things, right? And
Yep.
there's no Aaron Rodgers news going on. So he said, so just to pull it back, the compensation that you're talking about that was sourced from Charles Robinson, a pretty good NFL source,
Yep.
talking about how we're going to give up one of the second round picks, either ours and they're consecutive, or the one we just acquired. They gave up our third and Elijah Moore from the Browns. And Green Bay will also be picking like 2 out of 3 there, so they'll be excited about the second round there. That's essentially like they could sell to their fan base as a first.
Yep.
And our issue, and we're giving them a second round next year that would go up to a first with incentives, which of course, if they went to the Super Bowl, we would give them anything. I'll give them my shoes. It doesn't matter. I'll give them my car. Doesn't matter. Draft pick, money, the Jets will give them anything. Doesn't really matter.
Sure.
And then where it seems like there's an issue is the Jets want some compensation back if Aaron Rodgers does not come back next year. So the following year, they'll get like a third or a fourth back. And the other way around, Green Bay's like, we want a first round pick. So sorry, maybe we're not all getting what we want here. So if you want to keep talking about that, we're going to want another first round pick. There is no talk about Corey Davis. So I just wanted to reiterate that part. Like that draft stuff is coming up. So then Craig Carton comes out, talks about how the Jets better get their move on because Green Bay has other suitors, a.k.a. the San Francisco 49ers, and they might take their deal if the Jets don't just hurry up and pull the trigger. To me, honestly, it feels like desperation, if that is indeed coming from the Green Bay side, because we've been saying everyone has been trying the last hope is to try to say the L word, the leverage word, and bring up, oh, it's in the Green Bay's best interest to wait until the post-June 1st cut so they could spread it out over 2 years. Okay. Now Green Bay's feeling the pressure like, dude, we need this pick, the draft, and we need to know who we're bringing in the top 30. We need to know if we're having 2 picks, 1 pick. It makes a huge difference if they could trade up, if they could trade down. It's in a couple of weeks, man. It's literally in 20 days.
Coming up. It's coming up. The other thing too is I was looking at a couple mock drafts and stuff, and if you look at the mock drafts, I see different things all over the place. Like there's a couple mock drafts that have us trading both our second round picks to Green Bay this year. So, it just really depends on what you're looking at. If that's the case, then it's moot for us to talk about anything on day 2 because we don't have any second round picks. We don't have any third round picks. So
that's why
we really need this Aaron Rodgers trade to happen in order to have a true fruitful conversation about the draft. But we can still talk about the draft. We could talk about who we like. And if, we end up trading picks and we don't get who we talk about, it is what it is.
Yeah, so that's why at the end of this episode, it's still kind of a soft NFL draft preview episode because, again, we don't really know where we're picking yet, but there's some players that are starting to catch our eyes. Some narratives are starting to take place a little bit.
Yep.
We'll get into all that at the end here. The Jets made another signing in Quinton Jefferson, the defensive tackle from Seattle. This is an interesting one. We are so enamored, right, with the offensive line, of course, with the skills positions, of course, with the quarterback position, which is the most important position in any sport. We get it. But we did not really consider the fact that Quinton Williams will be re-signed. There's nobody next to him, man. There was absolutely nobody next to him. Yes, we re-signed Solomon Thomas. John Franklin Myers is there. Jermaine Johnson and Michael Clemens had good years. And Carl Lawson, who we still don't know really what's going to happen with him. I'm assuming he's coming back. And we're talking about how bad of a year he had. He was second in our team with sacks, with missing games, with having another secret Achilles procedure. right? That the team knew about and they were excited about, that he was able to get healthy. And then it's so funny because we're poo-pooing Jefferson. Like, oh, he only had his career high 5.5 sacks in 17 games, including 3 starts in the last season. That would have been third on our team, bro. That would have been literally third on our team. Would have been Quinton Williams, Carl Lawson, and then Quinton Jefferson. So
Yeah.
the exact money hasn't come out yet, but it's a really good signing. And talk about desperation. And it's funny that it came on the same day. They were like, dude, we need a backup QB, right? And we need another defensive tackle just to be next to Quinton Williams. It needs to be a veteran. They were looking at Calais Campbell. They're looking at a couple of players from Seattle. It seemed like we were in the hunt for one. There was the dumb rumors about Aaron Donald, which means that the Jets want a D tackle. So we'll just say the ridiculous stuff to
Yep.
to kind of bring it all home.
Get some
Any
clicks.
thoughts on Q Jeff? Another Q in the mix here, man. Q Will, Quincy, and then his brother, and now we got Quinton Jefferson. A lot of Qs going around.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm hoping to answer some questions, man. Like, this defensive line was not good last year. So, we talked last episode, we talked a couple episodes, there's not a ton of holes to fill. There might not be a ton of holes to fill, but as I started looking at the draft stuff and as I started looking at mock drafts and looking at other players around where we're picking and where people are expected to go, a couple guys started catching my eye that are interior defensive linemen or just defensive linemen in general, because while there might not be crazy holes to fill, there might be places that we need to dramatically improve. And rushing defense was one of them. We were atrocious some games against the run, and we couldn't stop anything. So while we focus, I think, as a Jets community, so much on the offensive line due to 1, years of bad play, and then 2, years of consistent injury at that position, to the point where it's been frustrating to watch. We focus so much on we need offensive line, we need offensive line, we need offensive line. I'm interested, and I started to think about more, is Joe Douglas and our Robert Saleh more focused on really beefing up this defensive line, because we need better play from it. And then they went out and signed a veteran today that had a great season last year. So I think you combo that with a draft pick. Maybe now, instead of a second round or a first round draft pick in the interior defensive line, maybe you're looking at a 4th or 5th round guy that you can kind of bring up a little bit, like a la Michael Clemens, who last year started out a little slow, had some flashes, and just improved throughout the season. Maybe you're looking at that instead of that high capital of a second round pick or a first round pick on a stud defensive lineman, because now you have 2 veteran guys there, one a stud in Q Will, one again with Jefferson, who had a very good year last year. And maybe we open up some few things for him. Robert Saleh's scheme seems pretty exciting for these decent defensive linemen. And, with Q Will there, there's a lot of opportunity for everyone. So I like the signing. I'm happy about it. We need more good signings like that to really round out this roster. I think we did something nice with the safety already. Now we did something on the defensive line. Maybe we do something at linebacker at some point coming up in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, so it really fills up this hole that I hate having this conundrum going into the NFL draft, where sometimes, right, you have the philosophy question. Do you want to draft on need? Do you want to draft on want? Or do you want to draft on just the position, like the best available player, right? I think those are the
Yep.
3, questions that you have. And I hate that we'll be desperate, right, at any point right now. Even with the center position, I mean, you just can't be desperate with the center position in the first round. It's a 13th pick. It's just not a possibility.
No.
So it's not, I don't really feel that pressure. The tackle position, I mean, I agree, could be an issue. We have Michael Widmer back in the chat, making a joke, move Makai to defensive tackle. I'm excited about Makai, at tackle position, as I'm sure the Jets are, with Dwayne Brown, hopefully healthy, but both of them aren't really healthy. Do you feel like there's a absolute need and the Jets' backs are against the wall to draft a tackle with the 13th pick?
No, I don't think so. I think that is probably the best thing for them, looking at the options available to them, right? There's a lot of good tackle or guard players. Maybe they played tackle in college, but they might be better moving to guard in the NFL, yada, yada. Guys at the top 10, top 15. So it's just kind of one who's available, like who's there to actually take. To your point, there's not a center that's going to be a top 10 or top 15 pick. So you're not going to get unless we trade down in the first round. We're not really looking at center probably in the first round. No, I don't think we're hell bent on drafting a tackle. I think it would help, but I think there's other positions there that could help as well too.
All right, so we're talking about the mock drafts. Let's get into a little bit here with players that we've had our eye on. Just for purposes of this soft opening, just to kind of mention players that we're interested in. We're going to pull up the PFF. Their ranks. I ranked it by Jets team needs. I assume that for is going to mean tackle, linebacker, safety for the most part.
Yep.
We talked about tackle a little bit. It seems like the three players that I guess are on the Jets radar on the most popular for the mock draft, including people who are very close to the Jets in general, happens to be Skoronski, the Northwestern tackle, who everybody says is the best, maybe the best player, right, in the whole entire draft. Will Anderson gets that. It's usually with a lineman or a defensive player that nobody, it's not the quarterback, it's not the flashy guy. That's usually tagged for that punchline. There's Paris Johnson Jr. There's Darnell Wright, who on PFF is a little bit higher.
Did you see him on Busting with the Boys this week talking about not wanting to go to a state with high taxes?
I want to talk about that. So, and then the last player is Broderick Jones. Let's talk about Paris Johnson real quick. I'm so happy you mentioned that Bustle with the Boys interview. In my head, I was like hoping that maybe somehow Paris Johnson would fall to the Jets at 13, which at this point isn't crazy, right? So I don't know about you, but the latest rumors that I've seen is Bryce Young is going to go 1. I think Chris Mortensen said that.
Yep.
Just today. We have Anthony Richardson, who is rumored to go in the top 10. We have CJ Stroud, who's rumored to be going in the top 10. We have Will Anderson. We have Tyree Wilson. We have Carter. And not one tackle was taken yet.
Yeah. Will Levis sometimes pops in the top 10.
Exactly. Yeah. Levis is there. Are one of the wide receivers going to be taken in the top 10? It's every year, Greg, where somehow there's more than 10 players are about to get chosen in the top 10, and everybody that we ever wanted or anyone who came into the Jets building as part of their 30 interviews will be picked right before the Jets. Every single one. Not one player will drop that we've been talking to. That's always how the rumors go, especially with 2-3 weeks. So beware of that a little bit. The comments with I honestly recommend you go listen to that interview. He was a great interviewee, honestly. The way he was learning from Lawan on the spot too, that was really cool. Like some quick offensive line techniques, where to put your hands, where to put your feet.
Yep.
It really seemed like he does not want to play for the New York Jets.
Yep.
He wants to play for warm cities. He wants to get tax-free. It doesn't seem like he's too into it, which no problem. Go to the Raiders, have a good time, and that's a one off our list. Which leaves me to the other guy.
I wonder too, it made me think a little bit though, John. Do you think there's a lot of people who are like, if you ask me too, like I live in upstate New York, it's like, where would you want to live? It's like, yeah, I want to live somewhere warm with less taxes. Like if you get drafted, like I feel like everyone says that, or everyone feels that, maybe not everyone, but a lot of people feel that going into the draft. And then you get drafted by the Detroit Lions, and you're like, all right, well, like I'm playing on the Detroit Lions, the Green Bay Packers.
This is gonna be my favorite team. I know.
Yeah, you get drafted by the Green Bay Packers. It's like, all right, well, I'm going to go win with Aaron Rodgers. It's like, cool, that's fine. Like, I wonder how much.
Whoa.
Well, I'm talking about past drafts, obviously.
He's on the Jets.
Yeah, but but that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like a lot of people feel that way, and then when you get drafted by New England to go play with Tom Brady, who's won 5 Super Bowls and he's trying to win a 6th, it's like, all right, yeah, I'll go to New England and play in the cold and try to win a Super Bowl. So to me, at first, it was like a little disheartening to hear that. But then as I thought about it more, it's like, yeah, what 20-something-year-old kid isn't going to say that?
I mean, that's fair,
I think
but
Garrett
they're
Wilson's
so
like,
media
dude, trust me,
trained.
it's awesome.
But they're so media trained. They know what they're saying. They know
Yeah,
what
that's
they're
true.
doing. They also they know who's drafting in the top 10. He knows that he wants to go to Vegas. He knows.
Yep.
I don't know why he said Chicago though. That's kind of weird. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there's a couple players here who I'm not going to be too upset about. If Paris Johnson does end up on the Jets, I'm not going to be too upset. I don't know. I'm not going to be ecstatic. I'd rather him just go somewhere else. I feel like Wilson's going to end up on the Seahawks. He's a freak, and the Seahawks draft freaks. They don't care. Give me your rank. I mean, we didn't talk about Anton Harrison at all. He's been pretty good, but I feel like if we didn't draft Creed Humphrey, there's just no chance we're ever drafting another Oklahoma guy. That's just, I know that's a weird, but it's out of this thing. He doesn't fit our scheme well. PFF likes him a lot. I really like Darnell Wright. He reminds me of the guard, the guard that the Kansas City Chiefs drafted. I forgot his name at the moment.
Yep.
From Ohio State, Wyatt Davis, who went in like the 5th, 6th round. We were screaming. He
We were
got
talking
injured, and
about him all. Yep.
so all year he got injured in the conference champ in the in the college football playoff. Got drafted late, got cut, and now he killed it. But yeah, that's neither here nor there. Do you have a ranking here? I mean, for me, it's no doubt it's Skoronski number 1. I'm going Broderick Jones too because I feel like he fits the system, and he's always been the guy that's rumored to come to the Jets so far. That's been mocked. So I'm going to take that as number 2. I'm going to put Paris Johnson as 3. If those 3 aren't there at number 13, I really feel like we're going to move down. Unless that somehow means that's in some crazy planet, Will Anderson is at 13. Not going to happen. Tyree Wilson at 13. Not going to happen. Jalen Carter, if he's at 13, not going to happen. We have to take him too.
Yeah,
Do you
Will
agree with
Anderson
that
definitely
philosophy?
won't be. Yeah, Will Anderson definitely won't be there. I'm agreeing with you more and more on Jalen Carter. I think there's a shot. I think it's a long shot that he'll be there, but if he's there, I think you have to take him. But that's what I'm saying. I don't think the Jets are married to. We have to take a tackle. I think Joe Davis has been very clear in his tenure with
No
the
dominance.
Jets to be water, to take what the draft gives you. If you see a guy slip in, go up and get him, a la Jermaine Johnson. If you see people falling, take your top guy. Um, so like we saw last year with both Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner, just take what the draft gives you. So I think if one of those top guys, top 5 projected guys, ends up falling a little bit for whatever reason, off the field issues, other things, I think we take them at 13. I don't think it's going to happen, but if it does happen, we've seen crazier things. Let's take them. As far as the tackle rankings go, I got Paris Johnson 2. I got Broderick Jones 1, just because I said it as the season wore on last year, and then especially in the semifinal and championship games, I said, draft me defense and offensive linemen in these games. Ohio State, Georgia, those teams were unreal in the trenches in the games that they were playing. So those guys are from, again, Paris Johnson from Ohio State, Broderick Jones from Georgia. All these guys are massive. All these guys are 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", 305 to 330 pounds. They all
6'6", bro. Paris Johnson
6'6" for
6'6",
Paris Jones.
310, dude.
Dude, they run. Some of them run sub 5 second 40s. 4.9s. Some of them run 5.1s. So they're all freaks of nature. So I don't feel like you're going to go too wrong here. Depending on who you get, obviously there's people who bust every year. But if you give me someone from Georgia, Ohio State, I feel a little bit more confident in their ability to deliver. And then after that, I'm kind of up in the air. I mean, the guy from Northwestern, he's from Northwestern for a reason. There's a reason why he's not in a big time school.
Don't do that. Don't do that, dude.
Well, there's a reason why he didn't get recruited to Clemson. There's a reason why he didn't get recruited to Georgia. There's a reason why he's on Northwestern. Obviously, he's done something in his career at Northwestern to warrant a top 10 pick, and he's grown and developed. So you know that he can do that, which is very encouraging, which is why I think he's number 3 on my list. But again, he might not have these incredible metrics that Paris Johnson, who's 6'6", or the guy from Georgia who runs a 4.9 flat. He might not have these crazy measurables that show up on Combine Day that people ooh and ah over, but he can develop. It's kind of like the guy that was who was the offensive lineman that we were clamoring for a couple years ago from Northwestern, 2 years ago, the goggles, the glasses, squatting 600 pounds. Went to Chicago. He's been injured now. He hasn't played a ton.
It's not Blake Freeland. That's the BYU guy.
No, yeah. But anyway, it's kind of like that. It's like Northwestern has those guys every once in a while that come through their program that end up being top 10, top 15 picks because they are able to develop. So, that's why I have him third. But like I said, for me, it goes back to I know what my eyes told me during the championship games. What's up?
I literally just Google offensive lineman Bears Northwestern, and everything is coming up for Peter Skoronski. They're all over him. I don't know who I can't think of who the other guy was, but they're all over him. So I guess they love Northwestern tackles. I mean, that's a good spot for him, honestly, in the Bears. It's a good spot.
In their backyard. So yeah, that's my top 3. And no crazy order. I don't have like a clear 1-1. Like I think last year in the draft for wide receiver, Garrett Wilson was clearly the best wide receiver in the draft. And then there was a couple other guys that were all top 5. I don't think
Tevin Jenkins.
Tevin Jenkins is his name. Yep, you're right. Okay. I don't think there's anyone here yet so far. That's why we'll keep diving into this over the next couple of weeks because the draft's at the end of the month. No one right now stands out to me tremendously. I think they're all solid picks. I think they're all going to go in the top 15, top 20. So, pick who's there, pick who's available. If you have a couple options, that's incredible. Make sure you make the right pick, Joe Douglas. But we'll see what happens. I'm excited for tackle. I don't think we're married to a tackle, and that's why I wanted to ask you if you're done talking tackles here about Jackson.
I just want to mention that Broderick Jones is one of the 30 that did come in versus the Jets. So that's why he's on that list. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, some name that gets thrown out there here and there that I've been seeing on Twitter more than I've been seeing on mock drafts is Jackson Smith-Njigba from Ohio State, wide receiver, who we talked about last year, and we were saying, oh, Michael, thank you. We're talking wide receivers right now. I love it. I was saying last year he might be a better wide receiver than Garrett Wilson. He wasn't able to come out. The Ohio State had a couple great wide receivers in their system. 2 of them got drafted last year. Jackson Smith-Njigba this year might be the best out of everyone. And we saw what Garrett Wilson could do firsthand. It's crazy to say that as a Jets fan, that this guy might be better. Do you think there's a shot we go wide receiver, top 15 back-to-back seasons to really supercharge this wide receivers core that we have, this beautiful wide receiver core we have growing right now?
And not only that, I'm going to double down on your just little soliloquy there. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. coming out next year is going to be the best out of all 3 of them.
There's a shot.
It's going to be close.
There's a shot.
Yeah. So the one thing we do know about Ohio State, sorry, producer Raisi, they can't produce quarterbacks, but they do produce offensive linemen.
Everything else.
Not everything else, but especially offensive linemen and just the skills positions, especially wide receivers, running backs, all those stuff, tight ends, all that stuff. Ohio State, I mean, shout out to Ruckert. I don't know how far he's going to fall, but for the most part, Ohio State is killing on the skills positions. Yeah. I think, in my opinion, Njigba is the best wide receiver in the class. I really like Quinton Johnson from TCU. He does give me Kelvin Benjamin vibes. I'm sorry to say. I don't know why. I have no idea. All season he gave me those vibes in the comp and the pro days and the comp. I don't know what it is about him. I feel like
now that you say that, I could see what you're talking about. Like, look, just the way he looks when he's running, the way he looks on the field and stuff like that. I could see that.
I don't know what it is. He's like slow but fast, but big. Tall, but jumps, but doesn't. I don't know what it is about him. He gets all the yak that you could ever ask for.
Yeah.
He's a player that I feel like is gonna get snagged by the Patriots right before us, to be honest with you.
Okay.
And he's gonna be their type of guy. In the second round, they're drafting right before us. But everyone's saying he's gonna be a first round pick. I don't know. We'll see. I think the Jigba should go first. To answer your question, I do not, and Michael's question, I do not think the Jets are gonna draft one with a 13th pick. It's an embarrassment of riches, man. Whether or not you keep Corey Davis, you just signed Lazard, who has an ascending contract, right? We're
Yep.
going to be paying him way more in the next couple of years. Garrett Wilson's going to be due money soon. It looks like we're getting Odell Beckham. We haven't even mentioned
Well,
him.
he's gonna be due
green
money.
pants.
He's gonna be due money in like 3 or 4 years.
Garrett.
Yeah, Garrett. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see, man. Now, if he keeps getting awards and stuff, he's gonna ask for money early, but we'll see.
It's true. That's true.
So I think it's an embarrassment of riches. And to be honest with you, it's such a deep wide receiver class, and it's such a deep tight end class
Yeah.
that I want some wide receivers in the 4th round. Or if we trade down from the second, I want some guys there. I'm annoyed that we got rid of our 3rd round pick. I'm happy with what we did. We know Adam Tamora get the 2nd. Now we're gonna trade him to Green Bay. So it's as if we traded the 3rd. So we're gonna pay Elijah Moore anyway. Shout out to Joe Douglas for getting rid of a player 1 year early instead of 1 year too late. All that. There's some players in the 3rd round, like in the 4th round, that I'm clinging to. You know what I mean? Like the running back from UAB. What's his name? Dwayne McBride.
Yeah.
He's on my radar. Mo Ibrahim, of course, on my UDFA radar. The running back from Tulane, Tajay Spears, like just those guys. Like the wide receiver from Princeton, like just like players that I just love. The linebacker from Tulane or Dorian Williams. Any of these guys, like that's just whatever. I digress for now. I don't see a wide receiver coming. We talked about the tackles. We talked about Najigba, Quinton Johnson, kind of Jordan Addison. Throw him in there. No disrespect. Even though I think he's number 3 on that list for me. Hoping some cornerbacks go ahead of us. I do think Joey Porter Jr. is going to be really good. Of course, we'll get into all that in a little bit of the deeper dive. But let me ask you this, man. And I guess this is the weird I guess the throw of the dice. If Luke Van Ness is there as a defensive end, if Tyree Wilson makes it, which I doubt he's going to make it out of the top, that'll be crazy. If one of those guys make it, are you drafting another defensive player here? Are you going to be upset with why are we drafting more defense or spending all these assets on defense? What if all 3 tackles are gone? Like, let's think the worst scenario, right?
Yeah.
For some reason, one of the quarterbacks drops out, right? To lower than 13.
PFF on their mock draft has the worst scenario for us. They have 4 tackles going before us.
Darnell Wright was the 4th one.
Yeah, they have. Yes, they have Darnell Wright going first to the Bears, then Skransky to the Eagles, Paris Johnson to the Titans, and then the Steelers leapfrogging and trading up to get Broderick Jones from Georgia right before we pick.
Because they know we want him. Okay.
From
the
Texans,
so that's 4 picks.
Texans are good on tackle.
So that's 4 picks right there. You got
Yep.
throw in 3 quarterbacks. Right,
Yep.
We'll drop Will Levis out because I feel like that's our worst case scenario. So that's 7 picks right there.
Yeah, Will Anderson, Jalen Carter.
9. Are we throwing Tyree Wilson and Van Ness in there? 10,
I'm
11.
Down. That's tough. That makes it a lot harder, but yeah, sure, I'm down.
Yeah. Oh man! All right, I guess
they have a cornerback going. We don't need a cornerback. Shout out Sauce.
In your scenario, this is weird because I think Najigba would go to the Titans, but you have another tackle going to the Titans, so I can't fit him there. That's a little off. Who did the Raiders take in this mock?
The Raiders took Gonzalez, a cornerback from Oregon.
Okay, that's a great scenario for us.
And it's a classic Raiders pick, so I'm kind of on board.
There's 4 tackles.
4 tackles go right after that, but take a flashy quarterback. Go for it.
All right.
Raiders.
All right. This is a good place to be on this pod. All right. Back against the wall. Every single one of our guys that we wanted, that we liked, is absolutely gone.
Yep.
Isn't the Jigba there?
Yeah, and Jigma's there. There's Cansey from Pittsburgh, who's someone that I did
Yeah.
interior defensive lineman who
Yeah.
I didn't know too much about until I saw it on here. Looked at him a little bit. Athletic
He's
guy,
fast,
obviously, very
dude.
fast. Not
Fast. He runs
yeah.
a 4.6, bro.
And
He's
him and
fast.
Q Will paired together, I started having visions of like what that could be. We obviously just signed Jefferson today. So
It's a
chances are
1-year
you're
thing.
yeah. Chances are you're not gonna draft a first round pick when you sign a veteran guy, but maybe you do with the Jets. The Jets, remember the beginning part of last season when people were screaming and yelling about rotations, rotations, all the rotations. We like to rotate guys in and out. We like to keep guys fresh. We like to try to keep guys on edge. To your point, you started off this kind of scenario going down the path of, if all the tackles are gone, what do we do? I go back to like one of the fundamental building blocks of drafting players, right? The most important position is quarterback. The second most important position on the football field is getting after the quarterback. The third most important position is protecting the quarterback. So what's the second most important position? Getting after the quarterback. So who are we going to use to get after the quarterback? We're going to use defensive lines. We're going to use defensive ends. So yeah, like to your point, if Van Ness is there, like sure, I'll take him. That's fine. I'm
Oh,
okay with
ho,
that.
ho, ho, ho,
In
hold on.
this
I take Van
scenario,
Ness or Wilson. I mean, I
yeah,
will run. I will fly to that podium.
right. If they're there and a tackle is there, that's a little bit more of a philosophical question. Who do we have already? How do we feel about the guys that we have in the room already? Um, for
I'll take
Joe
Darnell
and
Wright
Robert to figure
if
it
he's
out.
there. If Darnell Wright
Yeah,
is there, I'm down.
but yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay with defensive linemen. So I like this guy from Pittsburgh, um, on the inside. But then also a name that popped up too is Nolan Smith from
Yeah,
Georgia.
from Georgia.
And we talked a lot last year about this Georgia defensive being one of the best defensive units ever going into the draft last year. That proved out to be true. They had the most ever first round picks for a defensive unit or for any unit. But they had a defensive guy, I'm blanking on the name, went to the Eagles who was injured. And he was expected pre-draft to be a top 10 pick, top 15, a linebacker again. And then he fell on draft night, and he fell on draft night. I think the Eagles got him
Jordan
like in the
Davis.
third round. No, not
Jordan
Jordan
Davis.
Davis. It was a lineman. He was like their captain. I forget who it was.
Hmm.
And it came out that he had an injury that he was dealing with. And the same thing kind of happens with who we're talking about now from Georgia here.
Nolan
Um,
Smith.
Nolan Smith, thank you. He got injured at some point during the season. So, are you going after are you using a first round pick on an injury prone guy, John? I'm not. But, outside linebacker, we need a linebacker. We talk about it over and over. If I could get a linebacker from a school, it would honestly probably be Georgia. After the last 2 or 3 seasons we've seen from Georgia, their defense has been top tier for 2 years now, and they're producing incredible talents that are translating it to the NFL level. So, how do you feel about drafting a linebacker top 15 in the first round? Doesn't have to necessarily be this guy, but just linebacker in general. If there's
Well, I just don't
someone
want
else that catches your eye,
well, for this year, I don't want a linebacker. I mean, if it was Mika Parsons back in the day when we were obsessed with him,
right?
coming out of Penn State, I would. This year, I don't want a line. The only linebacker I want, the only two linebackers that kind of have my eye at the moment is Jack Campbell in the second round,
Yep.
if we're there. But I don't know if the Jets ever want to do that. I think they'd rather get John Michael Schmitz, who is also part of their 30 players that they came in. So I think they have their eye on him. Whether or not we get Ben Jones, I think they want John Michael Schmitz, even if it's a rookie. I don't know. I have this weird feeling about that. I don't want a linebacker at 13. My question to you, I'm just gonna flip it back and we can end here. Is would you rather have Deion Branch, or are you trying to trade down to maybe grab the safety from Bama who ran the 4.58, who was, I think, missed 4 tackles. He had 170 out of 175 attempts or something like that over his career. He was like, PFF loves this guy. I know it's a safety. I know it's 13. But you're talking about positions of need. If there is a position of need right now, like absolute hole, I would say center is number one.
Yeah.
One injury away from tackle being an absolute devastation debacle. Third, I'm not going to say a hole, but because I mean, yeah, I guess we got Clark and Whitehead, so I can't say a hole, but fine.
Yeah.
The more I'm talking about it, Branch, I feel like is not coming.
Yeah. I'm okay skipping that kind of hybrid type player. Um,
Yeah.
to me, this guy from Pittsburgh, this interior lineman, I think it's Cansey, how you say his name. A PFF has him graded really well. 8 sacks last season, 450 snaps, played 11 games. The season before, played 14 games, had 9 sacks. 30 hurries this season. So was getting after the quarterback, making things happen. To me, to your point, I think that's I would rather go lineman, whether it's defensive end or interior defensive lineman, over a linebacker, or definitely over like a secondary position, a safety or a hybrid type player. I think
Would you be
trading down
insane
is a
enough to take Joey
possibility.
Porter? What about Joey Porter Jr.? He's there from Penn State. He has another corner. We're loaded at corner. He's the
Yeah,
beast.
yeah. I just don't see where he fits in the scheme. You're not
Yeah.
drafting a guy in the first round to sit on the bench.
Yeah.
So,
It's
maybe he
tough.
can transition to safety, but why do that
No.
to yourself?
Yeah.
You know,
Damn. So I guess we
we
trade down
have,
in this terrible scenario, huh? That we brought forth.
and that's what I was going to kind of end with. I don't think trading down is a terrible thing this season. I don't think there's like in years past, there's like a clear cut, like after 7, there's a fall off until you get to the 20s. I feel like this draft so far, again, we're still a few weeks away. There's not like a huge like line in the sand, like after the 11th pick, there's a huge drop off. Or the only thing that would scare me is a run at position, right? Last year we started the run with wide receiver, and then all of a sudden, after 3 wide receivers go 4 picks, all of a sudden people start panicking and they're trading up, and the Saints are moving, and all this stuff's happening. The only thing that would scare me, honestly, is that if a run on tackle starts like this PFF mock draft has, and then all of a sudden people are trading up ahead of us to get a tackle, because not only one, do you lose out on the pick that you want, but 2, you lose out on the trading down value because people are trying to leapfrog you, not trade with you. So that's kind of a double whammy there. But I think trading down's okay this season, and it's incredible to say as a Jets fan, because we don't have a silver bullet in this draft. There's no one we can go out and say we need Sauce Gardner, we need a lockdown corner, take him at 4, we're all set, and we're good to go. There's not that type of guy, I don't think, in this draft for us, 13 and later in the draft, unless Jalen Carter or something like that falls to us for some odd reason.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of players that I always like towards the end of the first round. Always hope this year, especially, I'm hoping that a bunch of cornerbacks are taken. I'm hoping that maybe Hendon Hooker and Will Levis, 5 quarterbacks are in the first round. That'd be amazing, especially if we're
Yeah.
sitting there in the second. I don't love the value at the end of the first round. However, like his name slipped my mind. The edge rusher from LSU, BJ Oyaji, I think his name
Yep.
is. We've been looking at him. I could see the Jets kind of moving down to grab him. Maybe recouping a pick, especially if we trade next year second for Rodgers. Maybe getting that next year second right away. Just get it back. You know what I mean? Just move down, get it back, and call it a day. We'll see. That it is a scary scenario. That's why I'm going to be stressed about the NFL draft. If you're listening, if you tuned in, like Michael Widmer, thank you for joining us today. Let us know what's giving you anxiety with the New York Jets throughout this offseason right now, especially when it comes to the draft. We're all feeling the OBJ, Aaron Rodgers stuff. Honestly, I'm sick of hearing it. We know you doesn't matter how you feel about it at this point. It's happening. So like I honestly don't even care anymore. We've really extended that line as much as we can. We get it. You're either unhappy with Aaron Rodgers because you think he's a diva, or you're ecstatic because you're smart and you think Aaron Rodgers is going to take us to the promised land. You're upset about Odell Beckham because he proposes to the field goal post, but we don't have a choice because he's going to come. And he's one of the most sought out free agents this year, and our new quarterback loves him. So is what it is. There is nepotism going around. Nathaniel Hackett is hiring his guys that everyone knows.
Yeah, we're trying to move the page. We're trying to flip the page to the draft, because The draft doesn't wait for anyone. It's coming up. We have to get ready for it. So let us know too. Let us know in the comments. Hit us up on Twitter, Knicks, Jets, etc. on Twitter, Winning P Weekly on Twitter. Let us know where you think, John, we've been talking a big game between the two of us about not having a major need for this team. Maybe someone disagrees with us. So let us know in the comments on this video. Let us know on Twitter. Do we have a major need this offseason? And if so, who is it? What is it? Well, how are we feeling it? What are we doing about it? Because we'd love to talk about it because, dude, we talk Jets every single day. So chop it up with us. We'd love to talk about it.
Yeah, hit up Greg with any master stuff. We got a little fantasy golf league going. We got Yankees and Mets occupying our whole lives. We got, the ups and downs of that already.
That yet, John.
I know. I mean, last year it was the Yankee fans saying we're not talking about this right now, and the Mets fans are going nuts. Now the tables have turned a little bit. Knicks news, they're on top of the world right now.
Yes.
We are waiting on the Randall injury.
John, was something else. Like,
it's unbelievable.
That should have been like TV 14. Like, kids should not have been allowed to watch that game. 3 guys with 30 shooting threes. Obi put like that dunk. I think I tweeted out. I think I watched this 20 times in a row. That was him calling for the oop and then just throwing it down. I was all over it, man. I haven't tuned into a ton of Knicks games this season, but if this is what this
look until they hit the 45 for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I could. Yes. Now that we're 45 and over, I'm ready to go. I'm locked and loaded. I see the Minnesota Timberwolves to make the playoffs. Please stop fluking. Stop blaming the refs. Rudy Gobert. Just get it done. Make the playoffs.
So I'm definitely gonna get to the Knicks stuff's gonna come in heavy right now. Going to every single home game. The away game's starting to get stressful. We don't know if Julius Randle is going to be back. Brunson is resting. And the 3 players, like you mentioned, who are not good enough to be traded for Donovan Mitchell, all dropped 30 yesterday.
Yeah,
and of course, Donovan Mitchell's coming into town, bro.
I need people to stop talking about trading people. Like, all offseason, it was, we have to trade Obi Toppin. We have to trade Julius Randle. We have to trade, IQ is going to get traded. We don't want to trade IQ. Dude, we're fine. Everyone chill out. Let's just all go out and score 30s and shoot threes and dunk on people and have a good time. I get it that it was the Pacers, but let's get locked and loaded for the series.
I'm going to the last home game. It's versus the Pacers. I know this is the end of the Jets episode here, but I think they're having fan appreciation night, which means it's going to be free food. Just pretty cool because there's no reason to have that game. So hopefully another spectacular showing. Obi always dumps on the Pacers at the end of the year when it doesn't matter. And it's fantastic, and I love every second of it. But I just want to warm you up for one quick thing here, Greg. We're going to be talking about trading players. We're going to be talking about trading players this offseason, depending on how especially if we lose the same way we lost to the Hawks, we get Trae Young, Donovan Mitchell. It's first of all, my heart, it might hurt a lot. Like, I'm going to actually cry this time. And second of all, RJ Barrett, IQ, Obi, Randall, everybody but Brunson, Mitchell Robinson, everybody but Brunson and probably Grimes and maybe IQ is going to be on the chopping block. So let's just hope we get to the first round and we lose like gentlemen to the Milwaukee Bucks. I'll take a gentleman's sweep. Shake my hand, Milwaukee. Thank you. Hopefully that game is at home, so at least I enjoy that. Give me game 3 at home. Give me hope for game 4. Gentlemen, sweep. You want to get game 4, win game 5 back in Milwaukee. All right. Thank you. Thanks for coming. Won the series. Call it a day. But we'll talk about that more in the next episode. Knicks coming, Jets coming, etc. Period on our YouTube, on our Twitter, on our Facebook. Hit us up. Again, we're going to be at the draft. I'm going to at least be at the draft party if it doesn't conflict with the Knicks. We're going to be getting into more draft stuff here. Of course, when Aaron Rodgers inevitably gets traded, we'll be here talking.
Yes.
And that's it, baby. We out. Let's go Jets. 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 Also, I already made the inquiry. Jets-Giants group game. It's coming, baby. It is coming. Let's go. Wow. You want to hear an annoying thing, Greg? Wow. You know, while we're at the back end here?
You want to know
Vegas is sold
thing?
out, bro. Vegas is sold out already. How crazy is that?
What?
They don't sell individual games.
In Vegas. I don't know it's possible in Vegas.
They're killing it, dude. The Aces, the Knights, and the Raiders, dude. They're a real fan base, man. Or at least they're good ticket sellers. Yeah. They take care of that. It's all verified resales with when it comes to Vegas. So
sounds like Oakland baseball is gonna be moving out there soon too.
I mean, they should.
It's
All right.
crazy. One last note: I have too much money somehow through all my futures. I looked at it today on Dustin Johnson to finish the top 10. So I guess I'm a live golf guy. I guess I'm a Dustin Johnson guy at the Masters. I need him top 10. He's got to do it.
All right. For my futures, I got the Kings and Grizzlies coming out of the West. I know I'm crazy, but those are my two teams right now.
Love it.
All right. We out.
Peace.